All right. Welcome, everyone. Not quite a full house, but we'll take it. Welcome. This is the Fire Board of Directors meeting. Can we please call the roll?
Chair Braycruz.
Here.
Vice Chair Hartman.
Here.
Board Member Albritton.
Present.
Board Member Jablonski.
Here.
Board Member Kaczynski.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. If you please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. All right. So we have the minutes from June 27th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any additions and corrections from the board? Seeing none, any additions or corrections from the public? Seeing none, will you please call the roll?
Board Member Albritton.
Yes.
Board Member Jablonski.
Yes.
Board Member Kaczynski.
Yes.
Vice Chair Hartman.
Yes.
Chair Braycruz.
Yes.
Minutes passed.
All right. Any committee reports this evening? Seeing none. Any reports from the officers? All right, let's move on to new business. We have the approval of the last year's fiscal year 2024 IRS 990 form. I just signed it. We're
Motion
good
to
there.
approve?
Second.
Mayor, before we proceed, so there's just something I wanted to call to your attention. Every year we file this form, as you know, and every year you guys vote on this item. Just for full transparency's sake, we typically employ a firm to process the IRS form and to file it on our behalf. This year, the firm that we typically employ has been unresponsive in our attempts to contact them to ensure that it would be filed in time for tonight's meeting. So what we had done was Emil had approached me about the ability that he has to file the form on behalf of the town at no cost to the town. So he had asked me about that. I've spoken to several of you individually about this, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention as well as to the public that we did have the form filed by a company called Caunabo Holdings LLC, which the principal of that company is Emil Lopez. So just for transparency purposes, we wanted the public to know that the form was filed by his firm. Again, there was no cost to the town. It's not something that we intend to do into the future, but it was so that we can get this filed this year on time.
Great, awesome. Thank you for that disclosure. And Emil, thank you for jumping in there when we needed you to get it, needed to get it out there. So thank you. And what Russell alluded to, yeah, we spoke a little bit about that. We'll now do a search for a new firm going forward to be able to do this in the future. Good. Thank you, Russell.
You're welcome.
Any other comments related to this form? Seeing none. Any public comment related to it? Seeing none, if we can please call the roll.
Board Member Jablonski.
Yes.
Board Member Kaczynski.
Yes.
Board Member Albritton.
Yes.
Vice Chair Hartman.
Yes.
Chair Braycruz.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, the other piece of new business has to do with the budget and the approval thereof. This has been distributed. Is there any, do I have a motion on this item?
Motion.
Second.
To approve?
Yep.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve and a
Mayor,
second?
before
Yes.
we move on this
Yes.
item as well, there's just one other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention. At the Fire Advisory Board, the chief was present as well as several members of the town council to discuss the volunteer fire department budget. In that budget, there was a proposal to make an adjustment for several of the officers that the chief that work with the chief. So most of the staff or most of the officers, the firefighters, as you know, are paid on a stipend. But we do have several officers of the board of the volunteer fire department that get basically a small salary. So there was a request to adjust that salary. That was the recommendation by the Fire Advisory Board was to go ahead and accommodate that change. Subsequent to that meeting, there was an additional request by the chief to adjust those salaries, and I just wanted to bring to your attention, for the record, that there is a request by the chief to increase the salary of 3 officers in there, and I just wanted to allude to what those were, and then if you had any questions of the chief as to why and what the scale was, we could talk about that as well. So essentially, there are 3 officers. There is Lieutenant Petrillo, Captain Garcia, and Battalion Assistant Training Chief. I forget. I'm drawing a blank on the name. Evans. And so the proposal would be to increase the Captain Garcia's compensation to $2,200. The other lieutenant.
$2,200
$2,200.
a year.
Right, I'm sorry, yes, a year. $2,200 a year for both of those gentlemen. That's in addition to the request that we talked about at the Fire Advisory Board. So, well, the other person's increase was already contemplated by this budget. It's already absorbed in this budget or part of this budget. So just the additional is what I was bringing forward. So it's $2,200 for both Captain Garcia and for Lieutenant Petrillo. The total additional compensation over the budget requested was $1,800. So an additional $1,800 from the budget request that you have here is what we're seeking to have additionally approved.
Awesome, thank you. So with that adjustment, can we amend the motion?
I'll amend it.
Thank you. Chief, if you could please come up and just tell us a little bit of background on that, why you felt this was needed and this was the appropriate amount. I don't think that's on.
Sorry. Susan, can you grab that?
Takes a professional.
I'll get up.
Sounds like it's on. Oh, I thought I heard it.
While we're waiting for that, Mayor, I can give you just a little bit of additional background on that, and the chief can expand. But essentially, these personnel do a lot. Okay.
Yeah, it's on.
Can we add into the budget a new mic?
After that, we're going to need one.
It's working.
Essentially, those 3 personnel do a lot of off-duty work that the chief felt was important to address, to basically for retention purposes, and so that if we do have the need, if they ever leave, to be able to recruit somebody and retain them. So.
Okay.
Yeah, as stated, all 3 of these personnel do a lot of off-duty work. Captain Garcia has been with the ranches for 13 years. Lieutenant Petrillo's been there for 16 years. And Bruce Evans been there for 11 or 12.
Wow.
And so they've been around a while. So Bruce Evans, the chief of training, what he has to do is to log everything into the state for the MT licenses, paramedic licenses, all our training. He spends a lot of time on that, and he travels from West Palm Beach down here every Tuesday and even more. Lieutenant Petrillo takes care of all our air packs, does all the SCBA testing, the face mask have to be tested once a year. The machine has to be sent out for calibration. He also takes care of all our hose that has to be certified and inspected and tested every year, comes in all in his own time. And Captain Garcia does all our logistics, and he has to also monitor all of the above, and he does the check request and all the payroll, and he's constantly coming in off duty doing it. So all 3 personnel, come in and do a lot off duty.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions for the chief? Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, if we can please call the roll.
Board Member Kaczynski?
Yes.
Board Member Albritton?
Yes.
Board Member Jablonski?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hartman?
Yes.
Chair Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Excellent. Before we adjourn the meeting, I do want to make one other comment. We had a discussion in the last Fire Advisory Board related to potential new hires that we would have for an assistant chief, specifically potentially the chief's son, who has a strong, you could give us the full background on Kyle, but he's a professional at it, and he's been at it for many years. So I think it would be a fantastic addition. There was a question whether or not that was currently admissible under the current bylaws. Keith went and he did the research on that and determined that the way the wording of it was in place, it was already allowable. And so I just wanted to get that on the record that that is allowable. However, the way that works is that this would then come to this board and we would make the decision whether to do the hire or not. So any hire like that, we would do make the final decision on whether that was appropriate or not. So.
So are we going to decide on that tonight? or
No, so,
in the
yeah,
future?
good question. So this particular case, we thought there was going to be an eminent need where we needed to make that change. In fact, we're okay for the
Good.
foreseeable future. The
Okay.
current assistant is good to continue on
Good.
the work, and so we don't have a decision before us immediately. Yeah, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all right, so that concludes this meeting. We will start our regular, actually the LPA meeting at 7 o'clock.